Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining in. Dr. Bob has asked me to join him on this session of Nowhere Fast, and I am so excited. And so we're going to start off with a little bit of music, and then we will hear some teaching from Dr. Bob. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. When you've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Praise God, praise God, praise God, praise God. Praise God, 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 praise God. Thank you for joining.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our new series that we're going to be going through together. It's going to be a little bit different than what we've done in the past. As I've said in my email blast that's gone out to those of you that get that, and by the way, if you don't, I'll leave my email address up on the screen at the end so that you can give me send me an email, and I'll make sure you get on that list. But instead of just going through a specific book of the Bible, what we're going to do is I'm going to take my latest book, The Road to Somewhere, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the story. So each week we will have a different episode. You might think of this as Season 1, Episode 1, and be a little bit more of an introduction than what I'll normally do each week. But what we'll be doing is I'll be going through the story of the book with you. I know some of you have read it, some of you haven't read it, so even if you've read it, I'm going to be giving a little bit of background, give you some hints on where some of the ideas came from, which some are kind of fun, and it give you a little bit more insight into the book. And I thought what I might do this morning as we're going to just get started and get rolling is I'd actually like to begin just by reading you 2 pages from the book that show how the book began, and then I'll jump back in and give you a little bit of a feel for exactly how the series is going to go. But this is kind of the opening scene of the book, and it sets the stage. So, I don't know much about the Bible, I said. It was a lie. This is our main character, John Calvin. I'll be talking about him a little bit. And so let me go on and then I'll explain the background. I'd just been asked what I considered an inappropriate question to ask at a social event, especially since I'd never met the man asking the question before. So I decided to lie. Have you ever read it? He asked. Parts, I said. It was the only way I could keep from confessing that I knew it well. Which parts? He asked with a smile. Oh, I read a few of the genealogies in Genesis. It was the worst possible part of the book to read, and I wanted to see how he would respond. I bet that was enlightening, he said with a bit of sarcasm. I also read some of Revelation. I could tell this caught his attention. That's pretty heavy reading. Especially if you're ripped, I said. Ripped? Yeah, a couple of us decided to smoke some pot and read it. This was true. Dare I ask where you got that idea, he asked. The president of the student body at the university I was attending suggested it. He looked confounded on this one. Well, what about Jesus? He asked. What about Jesus? Well, what do you think about Jesus? He asked. I'm not sure what I think about Jesus, I said. I don't suppose you've read the Gospels? He asked. What are they anyway? I asked, attempting to throw him a bit. You don't know what the Gospels are? Well, if I knew, I wouldn't have asked. I wasn't sure how to read the expression on his face. They're the first 4 books in the New Testament that tell the story of Jesus. Well, that's a dilemma, I said. Why? I'm Jewish, I lied. It was another of those strange ideas that popped into my head. But so was Jesus. But he became a Christian, didn't he? Now I was really pulling his chain. He couldn't become a Christian, he responded. Why not? Isn't that what Christianity is all about? But Jesus didn't need to become a Christian. Why not? Well, there are a lot of concepts you'd need to understand to grasp the answer to your question, he said. I imagine a lot of those concepts are in the Bible? Yes, but I don't know much about the Bible. That interaction pretty much ended the conversation. So that's the opening of this book, The Road to Somewhere. And let me give you a little bit of a background to why I wrote the book and why we're doing this series. A number of years ago, I did a series of lectures or messages on Sunday morning where I decided to take our group through the entire 66 books of the Bible, and that I would take one book each week and give an overview of the entire book so that by the time we were done, people would have at least have some kind of a grasp of the overall story and the content of the Bible, which, by the way, just about every piece of research that's been done on this subject says that even most church people don't really understand most of the Bible, even if they've read through it. So I started that, and I finished all 66 sessions of that, which are now available on video. And one day I was thinking about what I might be able to do that could encourage more people to perhaps go and watch those videos. And I thought, I could write a book, and perhaps what I would do is then at the end of each chapter, I would encourage people to go to the video that connected with that particular chapter in the book. And out of that concept came the book, The Road to Somewhere. It's a book that actually has multi-layers to it, because as I started to write it, I had the idea of really building the story around a relationship of 2 people. So there's a kind of a romance dimension to the book as the 2 main characters get to know each other. And what happens is that the main character, John Calvin, who, by the way, I brought my old copy because John Calvin is the main character in a book I wrote a number of years ago called Somewhere Fast, and it's the first book in the Somewhere trilogy. So The Road to Somewhere is the sequel to that, and I'm hoping to write a 3rd book that will then kind of tie the whole story together. But so along the way, what's happened is that John has been hired to film a series of videos, little short introductory videos at 66 stops along Route 66, because when I taught the 66 books of the Bible, I used Route 66 as sort of a hook just to get people interested in the series. And so when you watch the videos, each of those videos will have a little bit about the stop that would correspond to the book. In the this book, The Road to Somewhere, I pick one specific spot, at each of the 66 stops that are in the video series and do a little teaser video there about Route 66, and then included within it a little teaser about the corresponding book of the Bible. At the end of that little pitch, then I really push the people that are watching the videos that are being made in the book, not actually being made yet, I guess, or I don't know if they'll ever get made, but in the book, again, remember, they're shooting videos, and then at the end of each video, people would be encouraged to go watch the specific video that corresponds, and we will, as we go along through the book, we'll be giving you the links so that you can go and watch each video. By the time you're done, you're going to really be on two journeys. You're going to be on a journey down Route 66, and you're going to be on a journey through the Bible. And by the time we're done, you should know quite a bit more about both of those journeys than you know right now. So I'm actually going back. It's interesting, those videos were shot a number of years ago. And part of what I'm doing in my preparation is every week I'm going to go back, watch the video so that I can kind of tie in some of what happens in the video with what goes on in terms of me telling you a little bit about the story. Again, Route 66, there's a lot of fun things that I could continue to talk about in introduction. I might give a little bit more next week. But Route 66 runs from Chicago to LA, and it actually runs through 8 states. And what's kind of fascinating about that is that there actually are 8 major sections to the Bible, the Protestant Bible, in the way that it is arranged. And each of those, I'm thinking each of those 8 states or those 8 sections of the Bible will be like a new season of this series, and there'll be a number of episodes in each season, and we'll tackle those as we go along. I'm thinking that perhaps part of what I might do, and this was a suggestion that came from my friend Josh Taylor that watches these videos, and he said he thought that I should never do more than 6 in a row because people then get behind, and so if I do like a 30-week series, they have a hard time catching up. And what we've noticed is that at the end of the series, usually the number of computers that have tuned into the final episode seems to drop off. And so what we're going to do with The Road to Somewhere is we're going to do smaller chunks with little breaks in between, and we'll have 8 seasons, but those seasons will somehow be broken up into 5-week sections. So it should be a real fun adventure for us to go on together. I've never done anything like this before, so you'll have to give me a lot of grace, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. And if you're Dick Battenberg and his wife, I know that you're watching this while you're eating dinner, because you told me that's how you always watch them. So maybe that's another idea. Some of you could be watching the videos as you're having dinner together. So let me tell you a little bit about episode 1. Episode 1 begins. It's called the chapter in the book is called The Deal. And it begins with what I read to you there in those 2 pages at it's actually a faculty party for a small community college in Kansas City. And the main character, John Calvin, is now teaching. He's a psychology professor at that small community college, which initially you should scratch your head if you read the first book, because in the first book you really find out that he is actually a ordained Presbyterian minister that's been defrocked and has struggling along with some of his faith elements actually. You'll have to excuse me one second. I think I better turn my phone off or it'll be ringing away here. Okay. So now time has elapsed, somewhere like 5-6 years, something like that in my imagination. Some things have happened that I won't tell you about as a spoiler. You'll find out as we go along. He's no longer a pastor, and he's just started teaching psychology at this small community college in Kansas City. Just to give you a little bit of a sense of background here, first of all, I'm not John Calvin. A lot of people, when they read a couple of my novels, they say, oh, that's you. And of course, you always draw from your own experience when you're writing fiction. But I'm not John Calvin. John Calvin is he's roughly right around 50 years of age, and obviously I'm quite a bit older than that. But I do kind of draw on some of my own experience. At that party, the person he's talking to is a man by the name of Rich Mitchell, and I came up with that name combining the names of two of my closest friends, Rich Beach and Bo Mitchell. So Rich Mitchell, that's where the name came from, although he's not either of those people either. But he's entered into this conversation with John Calvin, or has attempted to, about the Bible, and John Calvin has just flat out lied to him and says he just doesn't know much about the Bible, when in reality he knows it quite well. And as the story goes along, we'll see how that lie progresses, and then also the time when he reveals to the other main character of the book, which is a videographer, a young lady by the name of Joy that we'll introduce next week, actually. And he finally kind of comes clean and tells her who he actually is, which is kind of one of the big turning points in the book. Well, Rich Mitchell, after this conversation at this party, wants to get together with John Calvin, and John kind of blows him off a little bit, but he gets a phone call inviting him to meet at Kelly's Bar in Old Westport in Kansas City. And the reason I picked Kelly's, and this particular picture I think took place when I went back to Kansas City. I frequented Kelly's periodically in my college days because I actually spent one semester at the community college that in the book John Calvin is teaching at. I had dropped out of school kind of late, and then decided to try and get back into college to finish up some courses, and the only place I could get into was this community college. So I spent a little bit of time there, and that's why I used it in the book. And Kelly's is just kind of down the road from the university, and it's a kind of a funky old bar with peanut shells on the floor and the whole deal. Well, Rich invites John Calvin to meet him there, and it's there at Kelly's where he proposes this deal to John Calvin. And the deal is that there is a wealthy philanthropist who has chosen to remain anonymous, who would like to fund these 66 short videos that go with those 66 lectures given by someone that the philanthropist has come to know, who actually is me. That's my part. I actually am in the book from the perspective that it talks about the videos that I'm the one who actually has taught them. And the philanthropist would like to have just a short video that would go with each one of these books. And John Calvin isn't quite sure what he thinks about all of that, because for one thing, he's been struggling with his faith between the end of Somewhere Fast and the beginning of this book, and that has to do a lot with why he's now teaching psychology and isn't in what we would consider vocational ministry. But what entices him is that, and he's taken this trip, by the way, down Route 66 before. That's in Somewhere Fast. He does it on a Harley Davidson, and now he's being asked to go back down Route 66 to shoot these videos. And the enticing part of the deal is that the philanthropist is going to pay the person who does this $50,000, and that becomes quite appealing to John Calvin, and he makes the decision. And of course he asks him, why someone like me? I'm not really religious. Again, he's operating under a kind of a false disguise there as this college professor. Not a disguise, I guess, because he is a college professor. But anyway, he asks why. Why would you want someone like me? And Rich says to him, well, our philanthropist thinks that it would be a more interesting journey, a more interesting video if someone that wasn't real religious were to actually be the narrator in the videos. And when Rich has told the philanthropist about meeting John Calvin at this faculty party, that they feel like, well, let's see if he would be willing to do it. He'd have to get up to speed on each of these books, although he already is, but from their perspective initially, he'd have to get up to speed on each of these books to be able to give a little bit of a teaser about it to then point people toward the videos. And so, at the end of this first chapter, there isn't a book video that goes with it, but the first video in the series that we want to point you toward, session number 1 in the Route 66 series of videos is an introduction that will also give you some background, more perhaps to the Bible, and it relies a little bit on the first 11 chapters of Genesis, but once they actually begin their journey down Route 66, again, every video will have a little bit of a teaser about a book. So to kind of finish up, and these will be, my part will tend to be a little bit shorter than usual, and I wanted to just show you how to get to those videos. Now, there will be a link when you get to YouTube that will take you to the actual video, but one of the easiest ways to find the video is that and I'll go through this, at the end of each session, you'll go to the Telos Project website, which is what you see there on your screen, bobbeltz.com. That's pretty easy to remember, bobbeltz.com. And when you get there, what you'll see is at the top of the page of that website, if you look over to the right-hand side, you'll see there are a series of areas that you can get into, that you can click into. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go to videos, and you're going to click on videos, and that's going to take you over to the YouTube channel for the Telos Project, which is the ministry that I teach under. And when you get over there, you'll notice that, again, one of the areas topics that you can click on is called playlists. And playlists will take you to all of the series that are now available, over 200 hours on YouTube, and it'll pop up and look like this. There'll be this whole series of from the playlists, and one of those playlists is called Route 66, a journey through the Bible. So again, you'll want to click on that playlist, and then each week you'll actually be going to a different one of those videos. So for instance, what I'd like to ask you to do, or what your assignment is for this week, is to go to session 1 in the Route 66 videos, and that will give you a nice introduction both to Route 66 and to the 66 books of the Bible. So it's pretty easy, really, once you've done it once, and then when you actually get over to the YouTube video, there's always a little description that tells what the video is going to be about, and there'll be a link there also to open up the video. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to take us a little while again, but what I really need is feedback from you if this is working for you. I know some of you have read the book and not seen the videos. Some of you have seen the videos years ago, but you've not read the book. Some of you, just a couple actually, have told me you've read the book and watched the videos as you went along through the book. So this might be a little bit of a review for you. It's going to be for me because I haven't seen the videos in about 7 years, I think. So it should be a fun adventure together. But again, give me feedback. And if the feedback I get from everybody is, I hate this, then we'll come up with some other idea. But I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to enjoy it. And again, we'll really jump into the story next week, and we'll also jump into the Bible. So thanks for joining us for this introduction. And again, remember, go to session 1 of Route 66 and watch that video that goes along with our introductory comments this morning. And thanks for being a part of this group.